And these are the UFO headlines in the conventional news. And he don't mess around. He tells it like it is. Welcome, Jason. And thank you for being here to share with us.
Thank you for having me, Alejandro, and greetings, everyone. This is your Open Minds News Brief for Monday, May 16th, 2011. A picture of a UFO was taken last week by a photographer in Melrose, Scotland. The photographer, who asked to remain anonymous, supplied the UFO photo to the Border Telegraph. He described the object in the picture as moving pretty fast at around 45 degrees towards the sky, with a tail showing the direction. The Border Telegraph contacted both the Met Office, which is the UK's National Weather Service, and the Ministry of Defence to see if either group could shed any light on the UFO in question. The Met Office had no record of a weather balloon in the area, and the MOD declined to comment. And this story is like a lot of other stories with lights in the sky, and people contact different groups to see if they, like the FAA here in the States and organizations to see if they had certain things in the sky. And I thought it was weird with this story how they pointed out that the Met Office there, their National Weather Service, they were looking at weather balloons. And you look at this picture, it doesn't look like a weather balloon at all. It's like a fireball in the sky with a sort of tail, like a comet or something in the sky. So a weather balloon seems kind of a weird thing to go after, but there are other things I think the National Weather Service could have told whoever was looking into this about something in the sky, and not just a weather balloon.
While you're talking about this, I kind of had an epiphany and sort of a prediction. That I don't think that these services, FAA, the weather services, these other organizations, they're not going to be able to blow people off like they keep doing. I don't think for too much longer. I don't think people will take it. Luckily, this subject, I think, is getting enough into the public and the forefront, and we have enough credible people talking about it, that's going to have to be the first area to break. Because, come on, if I'm seeing something strange in the sky and I'm calling the FAA to tell them about it, it's ridiculous that they wouldn't take it serious. I mean, because it could be a safety hazard. They need to either, something's got to happen. They got to say, well, we're going to forward this on to so-and-so or something. I think that there's going to have to be some sort of change in that.
Well, you would certainly hope so, but it's pretty shocking, the responses that have been given most of the time, because there can be visible objects in the sky. And you'll read reports of the FAA saying, oh, well, we don't show anything on our radar.
Yeah.
Well, you can see something in the sky.
Yeah.
It's even more alarming that it's not on your radar, but it's there, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, well, fix your damn radar.
Your radar's broken, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But especially, I mean, the Weather Service, what are they supposed to say? We don't see any clouds in the area and there were no balloons. I mean, I don't know what they could say. But especially organizations that are there to maintain safety, especially for commercial airlines or whatever, it's ridiculous that they can just blow people off like that.
Right.
It's wrong.
It is wrong. But at least,
negligence.
There are some official organizations who give an official word.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're just, who knows? They're probably just blowing people off.
Yeah, they kind of blow people off, but at least they're responding. I mean, the Barry Goldwater Range, they responded to my
and I was very
question
surprised
a few
at that.
Weeks ago. I found that typically to be true, though. For the most part, if you contact them, they're going to blow you off, but they're going to at least give you some sort of answer.
Form letter, some form answer. Which
was kind of cool when I started doing this in Colorado example, because people do this. If you see a black helicopter and next to a UFO, then call the Air Force bases around you, and it helped. I called all the Air Force bases the first time this happened in Colorado. They were able to tell me what kind of aircraft are, say, well, we don't have helicopters. Or one base said, well, the only people doing those routine flying around Black Hawks are the Air National Guard. So then you get to find out what kind of aircraft are in your area, being flown by who, and then you could be more specific when you request next time.
That's a good skill you've learned there, my friend.
Yeah.
Excellent. We've got more UFO sightings.
Yes.
The Shropshire Star published an article last week about UFOs that were seen in the sky above Shropshire, England. A video accompanied the article showing a mysterious sort of orange light that was seen hovering in the sky on May 1st. A second light appears in the sky and hovers with the first light. The first light then begins to slowly drift across the sky and starts blinking. It then accelerates and disappears. A period of time passes, then the second light moves in a similar pattern as the first light before vanishing from sight. According to the Shropshire Star, Shrewsbury-based UFO Investigation and Research Unit didn't think the lights in the video are Chinese lanterns, and the unit has been unable to come up with an explanation for the strange lights. Mysterious lights in the sky are apparently common in that area, and one comment I read related to this video suggested that it could be hot air balloons. And it's been a while since I've seen hot air balloons in the night sky, but I can imagine they would be quite bright. But these lights in the video seem extremely brilliant. And the article mentioned that the person who took this video said people in the area see these things on a sort of irregular basis, not something regular like airplanes or things like that. They also mentioned that there was no sound from the objects, and that people who see these things refer to them as mini suns. That's how bright they are in the night sky.
Wow.
And it's kind of odd how they just hover motionless for a while and then start moving.
That's something else we should do then. I mean, you guys don't have them as much. We had hot air balloons a lot in Denver, but it's probably because it's so warm out here. And the cold air is better. That's why they usually launch in the very early mornings, because the colder air is better for hot air balloons. And hot air balloons don't go very long without turning their big flame on. So they'll coast along with their flame, and then, you can hear it pretty loud. They turn on their big flame to keep altitude. And I don't even think they go more than a minute or two without having to turn their flame on to keep the balloon heated up and aloft. So we should videotape those to tell the difference, but I think it's pretty obvious, a hot air balloon. Plus, when they turn on their flame, depending on where you are, you can then make out the balloon part.
Right.
And especially the designs and stuff.
They definitely have a look to them, where these are just sort of bright balls.
Mm-hmm.
And hot air balloons, yes, you can see the flames go on and stay on most of the time. But these objects that were videotaped started blinking at one point.
Mm-hmm. You know what we should do, the whole crew, is go to, just because it's fun more than anything, the hot air, the balloon fiesta in Albuquerque. It's the biggest international balloon fiesta. And they have a couple alien balloons out there.
I've seen pictures of that, yeah.
Yeah, I've got some pictures somewhere. Well, my hard drive crashed. I probably don't have them anymore, but they're really cool.
Well, I think it would certainly be worth it, to experiment with some video there.
Because then they have different types of balloons, too. Like there are different... there's another kind that's more rare, but it's more round, and they have some races with those types. So we could take pictures of more than just one.
And again, with regards to this video we just talked about...
And they don't move fast.
Right.
They don't take off in any direction fast.
Well, with this video, this group who looked into it said they ruled out Chinese lanterns.
Mm-hmm.
And with the Chinese lanterns you and I have experimented with, I would have to agree that the behavior was certainly not like typical Chinese lanterns.
Mm-hmm.
However, we have pointed out that in the UK and in other places there are variations of Chinese lanterns. There isn't just one type of Chinese lanterns. Some that have enormous fuel cells that are very bright, stay up in the sky a long time.
And then there's illegal ones, ones that are homemade, like when people have put they put a trash bag around a flare.
Right. And with wind currents at different altitudes, moving in different directions, different speeds, things can get kind of crazy up in the sky.
Yeah.
But it seems weird that these two independent lights would be sort of close to each other and not move exactly the same at the same time, but follow in a similar flight path.
Yeah,
it's kind of strange behavior. It's a good video to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the link to that on our website, openminds.tv.
Good sighting.
And let's see, I think we have... Oh, this is another interesting video we'll talk about now. Storms hit the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas last week. According to the Dallas-Fort Worth NBC affiliate, lightning blew an electrical substation east of downtown on Tuesday night, resulting in a chain reaction of an undisclosed number of transformers blowing, producing an eerie light show that was reportedly captured on video by a Fort Worth CPA and amateur photographer named Brian Luntzer from his 34th floor condo. The video shows hundreds of explosions varying in color. The Star-Telegram reported that more than 300 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes occurred in Fort Worth from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., and at approximately 9 p.m., these events prompted calls to police by residents who were reporting, this is interesting, they were reporting fireballs, both from the sky and on the ground. And Lunza recorded his video between 9:30 and 10. And this is also interesting. Bob Ray Sanders, a columnist for the Star-Telegram, witnessed the event, and he stated, "I've seen lightning strikes, and this was no lightning." He further described, "I saw fire in the sky and on the ground. I saw 10 or 12 explosions. It was like someone was dropping bombs."
Well, when you watch the video, it's extraordinary. I mean, these things light up so bright. I've been there to see, and a couple times actually, to see transformers blow up. And it is pretty spectacular. They're really bright. They blow up. Sparks fly. And you do see like these orbs. If you were like on the other side of a building to where one's blowing up, you would see maybe orbs flying across. But still, that I'm talking about just one. But in this video, you see tons of them going off like crazy back and forth. To be in that area would be kind of scary because these orange balls would be flying all over the place, let alone how the heck this started.
And some of these explosions were so massive. These brilliant blue lights would light up the entire sky. And other things with this video, some people claim you can see lights in the sky at certain points, these different orbs in the sky. Those most likely are lens flare because they occur when a very bright explosion happens and it sort of follows the camera.
It's timed with the explosion too. You see the flares when a certain explosion's going and its intensity varies with the explosion. Right. So
I'm not saying certainly that's what it is, but that would suggest that that's what it is.
But there are some flares, I think for sure.
Absolutely. But, there have been people who suggest that, this was some sort of military energy weapon testing and various things like that. But the varying colors and how long this thing went on is crazy. It's a mind-blowing video to watch.
Yeah.
And some people who have seen the video on YouTube said, well, why didn't the media cover this? Well, they did. It was really only isolated to the local media, strangely, because this is one of the most incredible videos I've never seen an explosion show like this.
It's a great video.
It's like a great light show on the 4th of July, but it's all these explosions on the ground.
It's an amazing video.
Yeah.
I think it's incredible.
All right. Well, we'll move on to another story. UFO sightings are reportedly on the rise in Finland. That's according to YLE, a Finnish broadcasting company. Apparently, hundreds of UFOs are seen in the Finnish skies every year. A Finnish UFO researcher from the UFO Finland organization has been studying UFOs for 46 years, and he told YLE a photo is not enough proof for him. He stated, "We always need basic information about the pictures. The internet is full of mere images." And I thought this story in particular was sort of different from other sighting reports that get covered by major media because a lot of them, when they talk to photographers who took pictures or talk to people who are researchers of UFOs or people who have followed UFOs, they talk to people who believe absolutely everything they see. And so the people they talk to come off as sounding gullible.
Yeah.
Whereas this person who has 46 years under his belt, they chose to print his comments about a photo doesn't mean anything. We need more information.
Yeah, which is true, unfortunately. I mean, if you've taken a picture of something, you know what was there. That's great because you understand that you're telling the truth and everything. But really to present something as certainly unusual or a real photo, you need information behind the photo. And that's why when we see these videos that are anonymously posted, it's kind of a waste because it may be a great video, but we don't know much about it. As opposed to when you have multiple witnesses who can give you information about that video. That's why I think that famous Turkish UFO sighting is so important because there's multiple witnesses, unrelated, they don't know each other, who had seen this thing and talked about all seeing the same thing along with this great video. That's the sort of situation you're looking for.
And certainly the photos and videos that don't have any information accompanying them, it doesn't mean they're any less true. It doesn't mean they're not accurate, they didn't happen, but it certainly doesn't help prove anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't help the media latch onto it. It doesn't help others it doesn't. There's no substantiating the image. It's just it's there, and unless you were there and saw it, it means nothing.
And unfortunately, as we keep seeing demonstrated, Photoshop and these video programs, you can do anything these days.
Well, maybe you can. Your skills are better than mine, but
no, I can. I can put your head on Arnold Schwarzenegger's body, though. And
can you? I'd like to see that. That's cool. Yeah. I can do a little smiley face.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. There's a new documentary about strange and controversial conspiracy theories that will debut at the end of this week on May 21st at the Retro Dome in San Jose, California. The film is called The Truth Is Out There and was produced by Dean Haglund, who is also the film's host. Haglund was actually a guest on our radio show before.
Yeah.
Haglund is best known as Langley, one of the lone gunmen from the television series The X-Files. The documentary follows Haglund as he travels the world interviewing conspiracy theorists who believe in everything from UFO abductions to secret 9/11 plots by the U.S. government.
Yeah, the interview we have of him on our magazine, and I don't know if we put it on the web. I think it's just on the magazine, but it's and it's mostly all in our radio show.
Right,
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
because you would think, well, he's not a UFO researcher. What does he know? Well, now he is a UFO researcher, but more than that. Just going around talking about X-Files and being at these sci-fi conferences and being behind the scenes with the X-Files, he's got so many incredible stories, some really interesting, great stories.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this documentary.
I am too. I watched the preview, the little trailer he's got on the website, and it actually looks pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a cool guy.
And he is a great guy. The Jakarta Globe recently reported a new crop circle in Indonesia. The circle apparently appeared 3 weeks ago, but Beta UFO, a UFO sightings investigation group in Indonesia, was just made aware of the crop circle on Sunday. The design was 90 meters long and 30 meters wide and consisted of 2 circles topped with hexagons. By the time Beta UFO reached the circle, the landowner had already cut down much of the circle. The group reportedly sent photos and samples from the crop circle to a university to determine if the crop circle was man-made or not.
It'd be interesting to see what they find. Although, interesting enough, a lot of the media and everything in the area with the last crop circle were very skeptical.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think even university, there was some quotes from university professors in the area who were very skeptical.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. This group, their first response was to send it to university.
Yeah, that's great. Yep.
So hopefully we hear more about that one.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, good old Gary McKinnon may lose his fight against being extradited to the United States. The 45-year-old Scottish computer hacker was charged by the U.S. with the biggest military computer hack of all time, after he claims that he was looking for information about UFOs and extraterrestrials. And that was back in 2001, 2002 that he did that, and he's been fighting extradition ever since. And there were hopes that the upcoming visit to the UK by U.S. President Barack Obama would result in a breakthrough for McKinnon's case, but according to the Daily Mail today, U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder vowed last week to take all necessary steps to extradite Gary. So we'll keep our fingers continuing to be crossed for him, but any last hope he has is sort of dwindling.
Yeah, the U.S. has stayed resolute the whole time that we're not letting up. We want to, even when Barack went out there and they asked him about it, he said, you know what, I'm going to let my guys figure that out, and they're going to do what's best. But essentially saying,
and a lot of people took that quote as something positive, like, oh, good, he's going to figure out something that's best for Gary. But
yeah, his point was that he's letting his guys handle it, and if his guys want him extradited,
whatever his guys say, that's the best.
Right, so... yeah, unfortunately, both sides. The U.S. is standing strong with their wanting to extradite him. But funny thing is the U.K. is kind of being sneaky. They're kind of being swarmy over there, where they're just kind of avoiding the issue. It's been nearly a year and a half now that they were supposed to come up with their final decision, which is their final, because we've already had a dozen final decisions. But yet another final decision, which they're avoiding. They're totally avoiding coming up with the decision because they know if they extradite him, people are going to be really upset. And interesting enough, though, I do know that there was extradition from some other country where they denied it. They said, no, we're not going to do it. And people were hoping that set some precedent that And they were saying that this is not a terrorist situation. This does not fit under the agreement we made for extraditing, which is what the UK is saying now, too, that they did this under the impression that this was just going to be terrorist acts, not, some dude smoking pot and hacking into government computers.
This has been a long, long case with all sorts of back and forths, and the poor guy just wants to get it resolved.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for Gary, too, Yeah. I'm not afraid to say that. Come on.
Well, this has prompted the UK to even reevaluate their whole extradition process because they don't think this is right.
Right.
So. Well, anyway, Alejandro, that is it for the news. Remember to check out these stories and more at openminds.tv, your source for UFO-related news. I'm Jason McClellan, your Open Minds news correspondent, and you've been briefed.